So, my presentation is going to be on goal setting. I thought we'd start off a little bit differently and kind of go into a concept called the compulsion to perform. And this is how we're going to kind of narrow down what we think we can really focus on while we do our SMART goals. So, this is the idea that society tells us that we have to give 100% in everything. So, for example, an example I thought of is in school. So, in elementary school, you're supposed to get A's in all the subjects. Are you going to be great at everything? Probably not. So there's this idea that we're supposed to give 100% to family, 100% to our health, 100% to our social life. And it doesn't necessarily work this way. Society tells us it, but in our own lives, we have to find our own priorities. So first off, I just wanted to brainstorm some aspects of life. So like health or friends, like I mentioned. What are some aspects to your life? Work, yep, one.
Sleep.
Sleep, okay.
Love.
Pizza.
What else?
Food.
Food, okay.
Friends.
Mm-hmm.
Family.
Exercise and family, yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. Question mark? Yeah, some assertion, yeah. Life's about having some fun. What else?
Extracurriculars.
Yeah, hobbies perhaps too, yeah.
Learning.
Do you have school in there?
No.
School?
Do you have
Some of you don't.
Yeah. Anything else?
Relaxation.
Yeah, being able to have time to relax. Kind of goes with sleep, but different.
I don't
So
relax when I sleep.
Maybe for some. So you have work, sleep, love, food, friends, exercise, family, fun, extracurriculars, hobbies, school and learning, and relaxing. Anything else we're missing on this list? No. Can anyone think of any examples where you had difficulties with priorities or balancing some of these aspects of life that they want to share?
All the time.
I'd rather tell you an example when I all got it right and I don't even know when it was all in perfect balance. Like, yeah, I feel like it's a constant struggle to figure out where do I want to be spending my time versus where should I be spending my time? Where do other people need me to be spending my time? And then where do I not have any control? Like I have to go to work and my time is not my own when I'm there, but I still have leadership inspirations, emails that are coming in fast and furious. And so like, how do I, for instance.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great point about that control because some of these, you have to sleep, you have to eat, you have to work, and so when there's not that much time left in the day, where do the rest of your priorities fall? Absolutely. What else?
I think an example for me is when I'm so constantly focused on work and social all the time that my sleep starts to lack, and therefore it makes me really tired and exhausted, which then takes away from the work and the social later. Because then, like last night, I fell asleep at like 7:30 at night, and I wake up. And then, it also throws off my sleep patterns. And I wake up at 11:30 and stay up for an hour and a half and then go back to sleep. And so pushing really, really hard to always be up there then makes you go way down here.
Yeah, definitely. And I think so far today I've heard a lot of perfectionism coming out. And as Hannah says it, as a recovering perfectionist, I think most of us try to do everything, which is why compulsion to perform is kind of an aha that you can't actually give 100% in everything. As much as we like to, we have to be able to make priorities, make some sacrifices, and really know what's really important to us and make that time. I know a personal experience for me would be perhaps like exercise. So it's easy to tell yourself, oh, I don't want to get up in the morning and make excuses why you can't. But if it's something that is important to you, you have to be able to make that time for it. So I'm going to pass out some index cards. So you can just pass them down. And I want you to I want you to reflect on some of these aspects, or maybe there's something that you kind of want to add to it, like leadership or leadership inspiration. And I want you to write down two aspects of your life that are a really high priority to you. I know it's kind of hard to narrow it down, but two aspects that are very important to you, and then one aspect that you don't necessarily give a lot of devotion. So something that is lower on your list.
You want them to be very specific.
More so what you prefer. Eventually we're going to be writing goals for these, so it's just a way to streamline your thinking for SMART goals. So.
We don't know our ground rules, but it is my responsibility to tell you.
All right. Did anyone have a hard time coming up with their list? No? See some shaking heads. It was pretty easy for you to decide.
I had to think a little bit more about what's not important. I had to kind of look at the list and be like, and maybe that's because I don't think about it, so it wasn't automatic. Whereas the things that are most important to me, like it was instant.
Interesting. Did anyone have a different time with it? Oh, so you knew exactly what you don't spend a lot of time on, and your top priorities were difficult?
My top priority was really easy. Deciding with the second one was hard, but then it's really easy to name like a bunch of things that I did.
Interesting.
Including that guy down there.
Alyssa's like, yes, I would like Kim to have a goal on our relationship.
Well, that's a great transition into our SMART goals over here.
My goal is love.
Really? Oh, that's interesting.
So cute.
All right, so we're going to move into goals. Now that we have some framework and some parameters that are going to be tailored to you and what you need, we're going to start focusing on how to make our goals SMART goals. So how many of you have seen the SMART goals framework before? All right, so most of us, we have a couple new members to our SMART goals. So the acronym stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So specific, you want it to be something that you is concrete. Measurable, for instance, you wouldn't want to say to increase sales. Increase sales by how much? 10%, 20%, 3%. So you want to make sure that it's measurable. Attainable, you don't want to say, I'll run a marathon. No, I'm probably not going to run a marathon anytime soon. So, you want it to be something that you can reach. Relevant, so we want it to be relevant to the framework that you picked as your 3 items to focus on. And then timely, so you'll want to set a deadline for yourself so it is something that you can grasp and then continue goal setting for. So we're going to set aside maybe about 2 minutes to come up with SMART goals for your 3 items of focus, and then we're going to partner up eventually and be able to share. So make sure there's something you're comfortable sharing. Any questions on this?
Can you give me an example of what you mean by creating a SMART goal against one of these things? Like, I think I just need a little bit more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, for instance, let's say sleep or relaxation is an important aspect to your life. And so you'll want to make a goal that will make sure that stays a top priority for you. So maybe saying that you'll give yourself 2 hours every night to read or do something relaxing in order to maintain that. Or if it's something that's really low on your list, how are you going to make sure that it doesn't fall off your list or make it more of a priority? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
perfect.
sorry, you said to make 2 SMART goals? Is that what
Three.
you said?
So do
So one for each of the
Yeah.
three that we wrote.
Mhm.
Okay.
So
Yes,
like how to
exactly.
maintain the important things and how to improve the
Yeah,
non-important
yeah.
things. Okay.
Is something I can help you with, or is it just a reflective
I don't think
time?
so.
Okay.
I wish you could.
I wish I could too. A minute to finish. Alright, so I'm going to start numbering you off. Just since we just shared in partners, I want to be able to switch it up a little bit. If you're still writing, feel free, just remember your number. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So you can find your partner. You can kind of spread out around the room if you'd like, and go ahead and share your goals. Sharing goals is a really important aspect to accountability. So not only do you know your goal now, but someone else does, and that'll help make it real and make it smarter. So feel free to find your partner and
Hannah and Elias, is that intentional?
do you really?
Amazing. I'm staying here.
I'm staying here.
I feel like I
They're
can
high.
you too.
Oh,
we can do a little bit of
Counseling.
So, Elias, what's your goal for your life? And so we did it on a random day, so
All right, we're gonna wrap up our conversations. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Kenna.
Oh, no, good, thanks.
So, can anyone tell me about their experience, whether it be about writing their goals or being able to share them?
Well, I love my grandma, but I don't know, I don't call, and like sometimes I email instead, but I was saying like for my family, one of my goals was to call her at least once every month. And Allison said like, oh, that's so sweet. So then it was like, I don't know, it did give me that sense of responsibility you were talking about. Like, I can't say I'm doing these
Yeah.
nice things and not actually do them.
Sweet Suzanne might not be so sweet.
So it did make makes me feel like accountable now.
Yeah, good. I definitely heard family kind of theming out when I was sitting in with groups. So that's interesting too that there was some overlap. What else? Yeah, Lindsay.
I experienced something similar to Suzanne, just that saying it out loud to Lana
makes me accountable for it. I think that's a good thing to be able to talk about your goals and even just to put them on paper or think about them. At 11:11, I was talking about this last night, which is why this is in my mind. At 11:11, I always make wishes, and a lot of people do that, but most people seem to just make one wish. But I wish for the whole minute, and sometimes I like run out of things to wish for. I'm like, what else can I wish for right now? What else do I want? But I think about it, it ends up kind of being more goal oriented. It's not just like I wish for a fairy godmother or something that's not really going to happen. I wish for things that I can, that I,
Yeah.
right.
Or they're smart.
They're smart goals, exactly. And so I think just having that minute or doing exercises like this that make you think about your goals is really good, because then you have them and you've talked about them, or you've at least thought about them in some sense, and then you commit to them more strongly.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like this sort of exercise or your minute of goal reflection is so important to have for yourself, because otherwise you're just kind of going through life, and to be really responsive and to be really accountable to that is really great. I'm gonna have to adopt that. That's nice. What else?
I enjoyed talking with Elias and Kim because, and I don't think this was what I was supposed to do, but I did it anyway. There were parts about their goals that I felt like I could give a suggestion for how to achieve it, and so it felt kind of nice to be like, oh, here's a way to make that goal be real. And I don't know if that was helpful at all, or if you even liked it or whatever, but it made me feel good to know that I could help. I don't know.
No, it was knowing that someone else, because you had kind of the same ideas as far as how to go about things. Kind of what I was thinking about the same line. So it's nice that other people have the same.
And what I was saying about being fascinating that the three of us were together is that if Elias and I were just paired up, we'd just be telling each other, but it really wouldn't be that much accountability. I don't think it's really easy to say I don't have time for that, and so adding Kenna into that mix made it a little bit different. And also in terms of I talk to and see Kenna often, so it's not like I'm not going to see her again until the next training or summer time.
I can be like, how's date night going?
Yeah, it's definitely an accountability thing, but also I think it's like an affirmation of, like, I could tell Elias that he has to do those things, but he could give a crap if I'm telling him to do that. Like, I'm not telling him to do the same thing that I'm telling him to do. That he might think, oh yeah, maybe that is a good idea.
Hopefully he gives a crap about what you think. But
I think he does, but I get the point. Yeah. No, yeah, that's a great observation about that partnership that you kind of create. And I think Ken and I were talking a little bit too during feedback about that, the power of suggestion, or the power of that opportunity of being able to suggest other options or other hats that you could wear. And I heard it in the other groups too, where someone would share something and about their SMART goal, and someone else would be like, oh, you could do this too, or this would be a great way to incorporate that, which I think is really powerful. Yeah.
Aside from the talk that we got to have, even just writing down the 3 things that you can put on the aspects of life chart was really interesting for me, because this one was way different than the one that I've done before. And so just having that realization of like, wow, there's things that need to be switched around.
Yeah.
So that was good. And then it was interesting because I only needed one goal to fix that all. So
It's interesting.
yeah.
I actually really appreciated the fact that I could look at, oh, I do want to make a change to this, like, and I can. Like, I don't have to do it 100%. Like, my hobbies are not as important as John, but it can still be more important, and it can still give me something different in my life. You know what I mean? So that's was helpful.
And I think both of those are a great point that I didn't really talk about with the compulsion to perform, that things can change. It's not like, well, John's number one. I mean, John's probably is number one, like 99% of the time. That was probably a bad example, but like school, like number one all the time. Like, like it can definitely be a top priority, but it can see its days or weeks where it doesn't have as high of a priority, or sometimes a goal needs to be incorporated to bring something up. It's kind of a flux, and it goes it coincides with what the compulsion to perform says, where it says that everything's 100%, and that's not really the case. It's more of an ebb and flow, and being able to understand that, life moves that way. Why do you think that goal setting would be important for a group? Let's say, it could be an organization, but let's say specifically leadership inspirations. Why would an activity like this be important?
That accountability.
Yeah, that's come up a couple times, right? Being able to be accountable. Is it like a, okay, yeah, Lana?
I'm like waiting
So much pressure.
before you all do that. I think it's it's good to just. It made me sit back and actually think about like what are our priorities. So in a group setting like this, like what are we having as a priority right now, and what's maybe lacking, and so making goals for maybe the lacking one is really helpful in an organization because it gives us more balance and continuity in what we want to accomplish.
Yeah. Was that
That was
yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Oh man. No. What were you saying?
Like continuity makes us
Yeah.
lower.
Okay. Right. And then you also, when you're forming goals as a group, you can see aspects of teamwork or whatever you're trying to goal about. They
Verb as a word. That's so good. I'm goaling about this.
Exactly. You can see like where other people are coming from and where they think we might be lacking, and that might be different for some people. And so then you can take all those things that might be lacking for those different people, and then try to raise that up, and see maybe what has been, maybe what we're putting at 150% rather than trying to spread it across with the ebb and flow for different aspects that are not being addressed at that moment.
Yeah, definitely. If we're like leadership inspirations is like all about team building activities, like 100%, and we aren't realizing that there's all these other aspects that go into it, and being able to really visualize that and put it on paper. Yeah, absolutely. Also, where do you think on here? Do you think everyone falls on the priorities list? Leadership inspiration falls in the same place for everyone. Does anyone want to maybe speak on that?
I mean, I would be willing to bet that it's not not nearly as important to all of you as it is to me, Kim, and Jane, or even Elias, because it affects his relationship with Kim. Right? And it shouldn't be. Like, if you all care more about leadership inspirations than we do, we have a problem, actually.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you're just like a leadership inspirations cheerleader, and we just can't even compete with that.
That's great. Yeah, no, and to recognize those differences and be able to understand them, because you're right, not everyone's going to be like 100% like leadership inspirations, but being able to understand where everyone falls on that, and that it is enough of a priority to be here and to be present. So, any other comments on this? Hopefully this was beneficial. To be honest, I was feeling pretty inspired walking around and listening to some of the conversations and what everyone was coming up with. Definitely makes me want to kind of relook at some things in my life and be able to set some goals and find an accountability partner too. So thank you for that, and let me know if you have any other questions or concerns.